Welcome, aspirants, to Rungta IAS Academy for today's high-yield current affairs explainer. Today, we are decoding a truly landmark Supreme Court ruling. It's directly relevant to your General Studies Paper 2 syllabus. Specifically, we're looking at judicial pendency and accountability.
Absolutely, sir. Whenever the apex court steps in and issues binding guidelines to reform its very own system, well, that becomes a highly scoring area for your mains. So grab your notepads because we are going to extract the exact value additions you need to elevate your answers.
Okay, let's quickly look at our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll start by setting the GS2 polity context, then dive into the new 3-month mandate, look at the fresh rules for bail orders, outline the mandatory transparency guidelines, and finally wrap up with mains and interview application. Section 1. GS2 polity context set. Let's set the stage. Right, so this vital piece of reporting from The Hindu perfectly outlines how a Supreme Court bench, headed by Chief Justice of India Surya Kant, has really stepped up to tackle the chronic, systemic issue of judicial delays in India.
Exactly, ma'am. And the operative phrase aspirants need to catch here is binding guidelines. The Supreme Court is not just issuing mere advisories anymore. Under its constitutional authority, it's laying down strict procedural law for all high courts regarding exactly when judgments must be pronounced.
Moving to Section 2, the 3-month SC mandate, strict new timelines.
Aspirants, you definitely want to note this stark contrast down for your mains answers. Historically, you see, judges were expected to pronounce judgments within a rather vague, reasonable time, usually meaning 2 to 6 months. But in practice, we know judgments were frequently reserved for well over a year, causing immense hardship to the litigants.
True, and this new directive completely abolishes that ambiguity. We are now operating on a strict, binding 3-month deadline, and please underline this fact in your notes. That countdown starts exactly from the date the orders are reserved. This is, quite literally, a monumental step toward actionable judicial accountability.
Ma'am, Section 3, new rules for bail orders, fast-tracking release. Now, the bench didn't just stop at final judgments. They tackled the immediate liberty of citizens, which is absolutely crucial. The new timeline is incredibly fast. On day 1, bail orders must ideally be pronounced the very next day after the hearing and then communicated to jail authorities immediately.
Yes, sir, that's right. And then by day 2, the undertrial must be released, either that same day or the next day at the very latest. Aspirants, think about this. This is a direct, practical enforcement of Article 21, the right to life and personal liberty. It directly targets that tragic systematic flaw where undertrials just languish in prison simply due to postal or administrative delays, even after bail has already been granted.
Section 4. Mandatory transparency guidelines, operational directives. Aspirants, you need to memorize these specific directives for your value additions. The court mandated that the operative part of a judgment must be pronounced loudly, in open court, for highly sensitive cases.
Which one specifically, ma'am?
Right, so that would be for habeas corpus matters, criminal appeals that result in an acquittal, and matters relating to demolitions. Because, of course, these involve immediate fundamental rights and state action. Furthermore, detailed reasons for the orders must be uploaded within a week. Crucially, leveraging technology, high court websites must now visibly reflect the exact date a judgment was reserved. This actually allows the public to track that 3-month countdown. And finally, Section 5, Mains and Interview Application, applying the facts. Aspirants, remember, simply consuming the daily news is only step 1. Application is what actually secures your rank. Ask yourself right now, how exactly do these timelines enhance judicial accountability?
Spot on. If you're asked this in an interview or maybe in a GS2 essay on judicial reforms, you must integrate these exact data points. Mention the strict 3-month rule, the 24-hour bail communication, and those digital transparency mandates. You have to argue how this bridges the massive gap between fundamental rights on paper and real-world administrative lethargy.
So, practice writing a 150-word answer on this very topic today. How does procedural strictness guarantee constitutional liberty? Think about that. Thank you for joining us at Rungta IAS Academy. Keep studying hard, substantiate your points well, and we'll see you in our next explainer.